A very warm good morning and a bright sunny day to everyone here present. First of all, yes, you might see a new face here. I'm not exactly a member of WSSCC, but I'm planning and I'm on the process of, I'm sinking into it. I've worked with Gunarajji for a long time. Myself, I'm Ivana Manandar. I'm Miss Nepal World 2015, so I basically represented Nepal last year in Miss World 2015, and Nepal came in top 10 and top 7 for the Dances of the World. So I guess I'm proud to be standing here in a global initiation of water supply, sanitation, and management. And I hope you all have a great afternoon and a day well spent together. First of all, since we've all known, recently, just now, our chief guest has arrived. So I would like to call upon all the other members on the dais. First of all, I would like to welcome Honorable Chief Guest, our State Minister, Mr. Dinesh Chandra Yadav, Ministry of Water Supply and Sanitation. Our guest, Mr. Rajan Raj Pandey, Joint Secretary, also Chairperson of National Sanitation and Hygiene Coordination Committee, Ministry of Water Supply and Sanitation. Kindly, sir, please arrive on the dais. Furthermore, our guest, Mr. Ram Chandra Devkota, Director of the General Department of Water Supply, Sanitation and Sewage. And furthermore, after that, I would like to invite Bhupendra Aryal, Executive Director of the Fund Board. Then I would like to invite our guest, Mr. David Troubo, Program Manager, Advocacy and Communications, WSSCC Geneva. Thank you, sir. And our guest, Mr. Jukka Ilomaki, Embassy of Finland, Chairperson of WASH Development Partners Group. Proceeding further, our guest, Mr. Umesh Pandey, Director of NEWA, former Steering Committee member of WSSCC. So we proceed further. Our guest, Mr. Namaste Lal Shrestha, sanitation champion, also served with UNICEF for over 29 years. Then we proceed further. Our guest, Mr. Rajendra Aryal, Chairperson of Federal of Water Supply Sanitation Users Committee in Nepal. And our other guest, Mrs. Lakshmi Maharjan Devkota, Chairperson of Nepal Federation of Deaf People Association. And finally, I would like to invite the person I know very closely and of course I've worked with, Mr. Gunaraj Shrestha, National Coordinator of the WSSCC Nepal. This is the opening ceremony. Now I would like to proceed with the formal opening ceremony of the workshop. I would like to call upon our chief guest, Honorable State Minister Mr. Dinesh Chandra Yadav, to come light on the panas. Thank you, everyone. That's our pride and that's our nation. Now I would like to call upon and request Mr. Gunaraj Shrestha for a welcome speech, the National Coordination of WSSCC Nepal.
Thank you, Ivana. Very good morning to everyone. So it is my immense pleasure to receive here, especially our chief guest, Honorable State Minister, Mr. Yadav, and Mr. Rajan Pandey, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Water Supply and Sanitation, and also other high-level delegates as our guests of our today workshop in the DAS. So similarly, I would like to thank all the delegates, participants of the workshop today here in the room. You are from government, you are from UN agencies, you are from civil society, you are from WSSCC community, and some research, some academicians. So it is my very great pleasure to welcome you here. So we have today the entire day workshop until 5 o'clock. This is just opening session. So after this opening session, we will have a consultation about WSSCC's next 4 years strategies. Later we'll be discussing more about the WSSCC strategy, what it is and what is our intended plan, what is the progress till date. So this is especially for seeking feedback and opinions and advice, I would say, to formulate WSSCC strategy for the next 4 years until 2020. So I expect you will have very valuable input to the discussion and consultation in the daytime after this opening session. So I would like to request for your very valuable input, contribution, feedback, opinion.
Now I'd like to further proceed and call our Mr. David Troba, the Program Manager, Advocacy and Communications, WSSCC Geneva. And the main objective of his workshop today is a short presentation about WSSCC and key propositions of the draft WSSCC strategies. Thank you, sir.
It's really an honor to be here at this national consultation, your national consultation about the future of WSSCC. My name is David Truba, as Gunaraj mentioned. The purpose of my presentation is to provide a little bit of background and context, both about WSSCC as an organization, but then also about this very intense, consultative, and participatory strategy development process that we're going through. So puts WSSCC in the context of, let's say, late 2015. But this consultation today is very much about where WSSCC is going as an organization. And of course, WSSCC is not really a few people who sit in Geneva. Actually, we're the least important part of the organization. WSSCC is everybody who is in this room, who is in 16 other countries where there are national coordinators, or who are members in about 150 countries. So if I may beg your indulgence, I'll go through a short presentation. A little bit is repeating what was in that video, maybe some extra information about WSSCC if you're not aware of our history. And then we obviously have a lot of advocacy and collaborative work through our organization. Advocacy in the form of campaigning, and that might be at the global level, but it might also be at the national level. And then collaboration. Gunaraj is our national coordinator. There are members here, there are partners in this country, in other countries, and at the global and regional levels. WSSCC is very much about bringing people together to try to advance the sanitation and hygiene agenda.
Thank you, Mr. David Troba, all the way from Geneva, coming here and being a part of this wonderful program. Mr. Rajan Rajpande, the Joint Secretary, Ministry of Water, Supply and Sanitation. Kindly, sir, please come up on the stage.
Today I'm going to, I was given a topic called Priorities in National Sanitation, Nepal Sanitation, but unfortunately my topic became Nepal Future Perspective on Sanitation. So please try to make some changes and make it more equal than okay. So I'm going to present on this topic. Okay, can you see that? So Gunaraj ji had asked me to just focus on what is there in the sector development plan that we are currently at almost last stage of that. So probably in 2 weeks' time or so, we'll send it to the Council of Ministers for approval as well. So what is there in the Sector Development Plan 2015-2030? So these are the things we have included there. How we have defined the sanitation service levels with our detailed indicators. This that we can see in detail in the SDP also. So here, improved service means, in terms of accessibility, each family has at least one toilet in the compound, at least one toilet. How do you define that? At least one toilet. Like me, I've got 6 toilets in my house. Okay? So having at least one brings you up there in the ladder. Okay. Then type of facility, interface, platform with impermeable slab separating feces from uses. Whatever facility should be there. That does mean you don't have a physical contact with the feces. So that does mean platform with impermeable slab separating feces from the uses. No contact. After you defecate, it's away from you. It has been separated. So in terms of use, facilities used by all household members. So no one is left behind. Not even the child should be left behind. Reliability. Routine operation and maintenance is there. So with minimal effort. That also with minimal. It doesn't mean that you take 2 hours a day to just routine O&M for the facility. Likewise, if we talk about environmental protection, then non-problematic environmental impact, that is self-disposal, preferably reuse of safe byproducts also. So this is categorized as the improved service in sanitation. Propositions of WSSCC, as David Truba showed us, I just want to have my view on the first one. In the first proposition of WSSCC for 2017-2020, it was mentioned there that they would prefer to be in peri-urban areas. I do not prefer that. That's it. Please go to the hinterlands. Please go to the poorer people. Help them. That's my request. Thank you very much.
And I would like to request you for your strategies highlights undertaken on WSSCC. So I'd like to first of all call upon on our guest, Mrs. Lakshmi Maharjan Devkota, the Nepalese Federation of Deaf People Association.
Deaf person with disability also represent the civil society, so we are also be included in your program. There are so many public toilets or so many places there is no accessible for person with disability. There are so many issues we have to involve in the strategy plan. We will in the next session we will involve in the. We will try to give our input in our next session also. Thank you.
Now I'd like to proceed further with Namaste Lal Shrestha. Sanitation campaign also served with UNICEF for over 29 years.
First, I would like to thank WSSC for organizing this national consultation workshop on ODF and total sanitation, which is the right time and rights for everyone on WAS. Yes, which we have done in this country and where we have to meet our goal, any cost, any time, for this ODF movement and total sanitation concept based on MDG to SDG, the SDG, where we have thought seriously, and the last two presentations also, we learned something from there also.
Now we would like to continue with Mr. Umesh Pandey, the Director of NEWA, former steering committee member of the Water Sanitation Supply Collaboration Council.
As my association with WSSCC for almost 21 years, started in 1995, I became the member. We had limited ourselves basically into networking, knowledge management, and advocacy. But what we also realized is that because we've been doing a lot of talking, advocacy and knowledge management, networking, meeting people, like having such meetings. But at the end of the day, what people need is services. They need services. We know that there has been because water is so much, in the center of all development agenda, so that everybody wanted to buy into water issues. But sanitation and hygiene was almost ignored. We talked about it, everybody said wash, but W was quite bigger in that whole of wash, and then sanitation and hygiene was lost somewhere. So we thought that maybe there is something we need to do for that. And there is something we need to do more than advocacy. We need to now try to link sanitation with the economic development. How do we bring economic prosperity through sanitation and hygiene? That is the linkage we need to find out. And we have a lot of examples here where we could see. We've got examples from our neighboring countries. We've got examples here in the country as well. How do we use this sanitation model to bring about economic changes into the society?
Now I would like to continue with our guests, and our special guest, Mr. Chuka Alomaki from the Embassy of Finland, chairperson of Water Supply and Sewage. Kindly, sir, come forward and give a few words.
How do we continue the social movement? What is the next step? Is it the post-ODF? Total sanitation, it's too difficult for me, sorry, I'm quite open on it, I see that is something what we cannot reach, but I came with quite a simple idea, which I wanted to talk to Rajan before I come public, but now it happened that I do it on public. I have been thinking of this BC, behavior change, but also like the other way to say is basics covered. Does the Nepali government, are you ready to declare some of the districts as basics covered, like a district in which the water supply is reaching the full target, the ODF might be already there. Like I think that this is a challenging goal, because if you start to declare a district that, okay, basics is covered, there will be like a noise, basically. There will be people who say that, well, in our community it's not fully covered. But then again, if we really move to the target of a full coverage, at some point we have to be like strong enough to say that, okay, now this place is ready.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jukailamaki, all the way from the Embassy of Finland. It was a wonderful, and I think I really did get associated with your and connected with your individual speaking opportunity today, because I am personally in the point of where I'm actually.
म तपाईको सरसफाई क्षेत्रको यस अगाडि संस्थालाई खानेपानी तथा सरसफाई मन्त्रालयको तर्फबाट भविष्यमा हातेमालो गर्दै अघि बढ्न आह्वान समेत गर्छु र तपाईको यस एक दिने कार्यशाला गोष्ठी सफलताको शुभकामना गर्दछु। यो आयोजक माहौल भाइले म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। यस्तो आयोजनाबाट धेरै व्यक्तिहरूको एउटा जुन अहिले प्रेजेन्टेसन भयो, त्यो प्रेजेन्टेसनबाट धेरै कुराहरू सिक्नको आयो। यथार्थ वास्तवमा धरातलमा गएर यथार्थलाई बुझ्नै पर्छ के कति कारणले यो देश हाम्रो वास्तवमा अहिले सरसफाईको क्षेत्रमा किन पिछडिएको छ। वास्तवमा के हो भने अब यो अवस्था हेर्दाखेरि जुन रूपमा प्रगति हुनुपर्ने थियो त्यो वास्तवमा भइरहेको छैन। मैले त आफ्नो विचार व्यक्तिगत विचारले गर्दा खास गरेर दुईटा मुख्य लक्ष्य छ, एउटा गरिबी र अर्को चेतनाको विकास। यदि चेतनाको विकास भयो भने हामीले सरसफाई रहनुपर्छ भन्दाखेरि त्यहाँ गरिबीले वास्तवमा सरसफाईको क्षेत्रमा हामीले अगाडि बढ्न दिएको छैन। जहाँ शहर छ, जहाँ पैसा छ, अटोमेटिक आफै स्वच्छता छ र आफै सफाई छ। जहाँ गाउँ छ, गन्दगी छ, गरिबी छ, त्यहाँ वास्तवमा सरसफाईको क्षेत्रमा हामी धेरै पछडिएको छौँ।
Raj, let's give them both a big round of applause.
Regarding WSSCC members here in Nepal, there are about 60 plus, around 63 to be quite accurate, 63 members active in Nepal, WSSCC members, and mostly from NGOs, UN, and individuals, and meets occasionally to share learning. So, but there are very limited activities to engage WSCC members here in Nepal. Until now, when I joined WSCC as a national coordinator in 2013, so only a couple of times we have met and discussed and shared learning. So this is one of the area where we have to work further to engage better and effectively with the WSCC members. So this will also be part of the WSCC strategy for next 4 years. There is one chapter how the WSCC members could best be engaged in the sector very effectively. Key achievement, there are only few achievements. I have tried to list out here. Regarding GSF, after me, Sudha will be highlighting on GSF achievement there. Regarding this sector engagement plan, high-level government officials supported to attend regional, as I was mentioning. These are some of the regional level conference and learning forums we supported. Around 10 until in one year or so, we have provided funding support to around 10 high-level government officials to take part in these occasions. Engage national celebrities, TV, radio, media, and ODF and menstrual hygiene management, hand washing. So we are trying to have collaboration with national celebrities like Miss Nepal, where is Ivana? So we are trying, a part of our strategy, engaging national celebrities and Durmus and Suntali and other actors. Maybe we are trying to engage some cine actors also in future to drag them in sanitation. We have very good opportunity in Nepal for advocacy at the highest level, police level. So we have been working there. There is opportunity. So we are very pleased to work with the government for this police level advocacy. Growing expectation of the government and other stakeholders, especially from media, for support on specific themes and media dissemination. Strategic align the WSSCC strategies with the government priorities, especially with the national plans, SDP and SDG. This is way forward for WSSCC in case of Nepal. The second way forward might be harmonize and collaborate further with the sector players for leaving no one behind and national sanitation movement. So this is one of the crucial area for WSSCC, leaving no one behind. So we'll be further working with the sector players in Nepal in future. So strengthen WSSCC membership and increase their engagement in the sector. So at the beginning I told, still we need to work further to engage WSSCC member very effectively.
So I will just quickly go through the results of the Global Sanitation Fund in Nepal and how Global Sanitation Fund, GSF, has been engaged with the government priorities. GSF started in 2010, October, with 5 million commitment for 5 years. And the basic components that agreed on Global Sanitation Fund is the ODF campaign, the prime component, and also the capacity building for the ODF campaign, as well as the strategic sector improvement and strengthening, and the knowledge management of all those proceedings. So when we calculate tentatively the GSF commitment to the total national commitment of sanitation movement, in terms of districts, out of 75 districts, we are covering 17 districts, that will come around 23% commitment. And when, in terms of VDCs, it is 660 VDCs, so it will be around 21% coverage commitment of the total national commitment of sanitation movement. And our time frame commitment is up to September 2017. Specifically talking about Tarai, 8 districts is around 13%. That is also only the improved sanitation coverage. But with NMIP 2014, it increases up to 30%, whereas the recent 2016 data of WSSCCs of the district, it shows that it has reached up to 50% in average. So the increment is there. No doubt that Tarai is no longer a dark sanitation district.
But fortunately, we have a very exciting presentation coming up by Mr. Kabindra Karki, who is the Senior Divisional Engineer at SEIU, of various stakeholders in the wash sector in Nepal. And I think this is important, obviously, in and of itself, but it's also important from the point of view of the 6 propositions that will be discussed later. Because when we come to the session where everybody is talking about the propositions, with the propositions we'll look at what they're called and we'll look at some proposed outcomes, but we'll also talk about, well, what sort of outputs will come, what sort of activities or inputs are needed.
Since last few decades, we are striving to achieve better sanitation, better water supply facilities, and still we have to go ahead with long sanitation and water supply path. Fortunately, our sustainable development goal and our 15-year development plan of Nepal government is coinciding. That means if we are going to a battlefield, then we must have our fighters, have our troops. So who are the troops in this battle? So this presentation is going to be on those soldiers, those stakeholders who will be playing and who are playing hard in this sanitation and water battlefield. So I'm going to recapitulate those stakeholders, in some way their strengths, their field of work.
We do really need to move on to the next session, and so we're going to do it, and I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Belinda here in about 1 minute. But I just wanted to make 3 quick observations, and I think they're interesting for us all to keep in the back of our head during the next 2 sessions. The session to follow, which Belinda will describe in more detail, we'll talk a little bit about, what are the country challenges, and how will we as some of the sector stakeholders help respond to the challenges that the government is facing. And then the second observation was the number of stakeholders involved, from the government side, from the UN side, from the international organization side, and certainly from the national NGO and CSO side. We talk about sanitation and hygiene being a very fragmented sector. I think that slide really showed it, as well as the importance of aligning everybody to sort of move in that same direction that we've all talked about. And I had a third point in my mind, but it slipped my mind for the moment, I think because the slide is no longer up. If it comes up, I'll bring it up later. But for now, let me hand it over to Belinda, who's going to lead us into the next session, which is going to involve a lot of interactivity and small group work. Belinda.
So now we're going to start consulting you very heavily now. So there are 2 levels of consultation we want to undertake. So the first level of consultation, the question is, based on what you heard this morning in terms of the government's priorities and in terms of what the Collaborative Council and the GSF program of the Council does here in Nepal, the question is, what do you hope the Collaborative Council, WSSCC, would contribute to achieving the sanitation priorities of the government and people of Nepal? So that's the question that we want to consult you on. And you can explore this question in many different ways. You can either express or articulate your hopes in terms of targets you want the Collaborative Council to achieve, outcomes you want the Council to achieve, or activities and outputs you want them to achieve. So it's a very open question. Do you have anything to say, on those things that you've already written down in your meta cards? Are they also already addressing those propositions? Some of them, right? Okay, so that's good if some of them are already. Secondly, given that there are other propositions that you might not have thought about. Do you have other suggestions to the Council in terms, again, of activities or outputs or targets to pursue here in Nepal? Don't think of the other countries. You're just thinking about your own country. And then thirdly, at some point, I'm going to ask you to have a think about which of these propositions are the most important that the Council should do in Nepal. So we're going to ask you to rank them according to their value to the Nepalese wash sector. Okay? So off you go. Another 30 minutes. You have another 30 minutes of discussion time.
Looking at the nature and scope of WSSCC, we have categorized the activities that we are anticipating from Collaborative Council to Nepal's wash sanitation movement. I would like to summarize its activities under my 3 points. Our 3 points are thinking, inking, and linking. Yes, in a rhymatic manner we have put. Thinking means we have to engage, WSSCC should engage prominent individuals, be that government, employee, or people from market in research and development activities, R&D. That is the very pressing and nitty area that WSSCC is intended to contribute. R&D on approach, method, technology, management, and process in wash sector. So we are anticipating collaboration and contribution and input for research and development enterprise. Likewise, I already said thinking, then inking. Inking means translating the thought and research products into more visible form. It is documentation of the product, documentation of the knowledge, and documentation of the ideas. And most important part, as WSSCC is providing its strategic support to the sector, linking. Linking means merging the ideas, applying the ideas for policy reform and review. Contribution to policy matters. Actually, we have not mentioned the term influence. It is not good to contribute. So contribution to policy matters and engagement of experts and expertise.
If you have some questions or queries to that particular table, so after that, after finishing presentation by all, so you can ask the question.
Look at the two hats, one civil society and UN hat. This is your very great, yes. That's why taking this, this capital, how you can add value to our Nepal. Definitely because of these two hats, definitely you have more influencing capacity and should take your role in such areas, human right to water and sanitation, and Nepal, constitutional right to sanitation. That's why it is the right time to embed this right to sanitation while bringing the voices of grassroots at the top, as the empowerment of the grassroots communities of civil society, or build the capacity or other things.
So, who's going to present next? Ivana.
WSSCC and MHM is a very close collaboration in terms of hygiene and sanitation. Being a woman, I really believe that they both are connected like two bridges at the two sides of the corner, the left and the right. So I would like to start off with something which we just brainstormed all together. I to an I. Ideas need to be transformed into innovative, ideas need to be transformed into innovation. So basically innovation is creativity. Creativity is not just creativity within just a limited group of audience. Creativity is in a national, international level. So I believe we need to have that expertise, which we have right now from Geneva and London, who's coming all the way from internationally abroad, just to train us and mentor us and I think share this experience. And I think we should, that is already continued, but we want something that can be implemented in Nepal, but they come and they leave. But are we implementing in our country? That is the question. So if Nepal, they have trainers, but are they actually implementing these training sessions in Nepal? And I basically even said that's a very important role, like I told you, social media. And I guess, I'm sure there's always, like I spoke with Mr. David earlier, there's always international or national level ambassadors in WSSCC, as well as any other organizations, whether it be MHM or WWF or UNICEF or UN, however it works. But I think you need to have the purpose behind that ambassadoring role. You need to have the right ambassador who can be a goodwill ambassador to that organization. I think and WSSCC can collaborate that into a national and international level. And I would be interested myself coming from that perspective. And I think because people would like to listen to you. When there's a person who has a purpose to listen behind it, they always want to listen. And all the crowd follow that. Because the mission for the youth is always to be that inspiring person. So when you already are one, the youth just automatically want to follow it and they want to implement that and they exercise that in their daily life. First, being in our perspective, WSSCC should learn systematically from the practice and share lessons across the sectors, collaborate them and sharing international levels, which I've already explained. And then number two, being WSSCC should platform from the grassroots movements of health and sanitation. Like I told you, schools, education, which is the grassroots and basic level of education. That's how it goes. Number three goes, GSF should expand its works within and beyond countries. And of course, that includes not just hygiene and sanitation, it includes the open defecation free plan too.
In terms of what the WSSC can do, or the outcome areas for WSSC, we just group them into 4 categories. So one is like the WSSC can still continue to be the global leader in terms of knowledge sharing, providing learning opportunities more at the global level. And beneath that, we have a number of cards to say further, like what does that mean? The second area that we thought the WSSC can play its role is also in the policy advocacy. The third area that we thought that the WSSC can contribute is to support this sector service support compact. We call it a compact because we feel that as of now, when we think of GSF as a program, we see that it's more focused on sanitation. But now, I think it should be a compact of the services, combining not just sanitation, but combining maybe the hand washing, the hygiene elements, the institutional wash, and all of that. So it should be in the form of a compact, and we have a number of cards to explain that. And then the fourth area that can be, of course, in terms of innovations, bringing new knowledge in the sector, giving us a sort of guidance in terms of technological options for different kind of toilets. So those are the 4 major outcome areas that we put for collaborative council.
What were the voices, or what could be the voices of the NGOs for WSCC to do better? And here is the first one. Utilize and maximize the expertise of the members, like creating the global platform and national platform. Like other of the development partners and media partners also told that the global platform and local platform will help to transfer knowledge of the one organization and another organization. That will make the more synthetic way to do this. Another one is what we all discuss in this table, that the more visibility of the WSCC at the country level, specifically at structure and institution. That means that there are members in the WSCC, but they are not feeling that they are members, and more they are not realizing that they are not feeling and realizing that what were the benefits, or what could they do, what are the roles that could be more beneficial to the WSCC.
Our suggestion is about the washing hand, and we used to involve the students, teach students there, and they have to wash the hand. And we have the scarcity of water. Now my question, our suggestion, our thinking is that which soap to use? What is the chemical composition of the soap that the students are using, that the people are using? Whether WSSCC or any link organization have done the chemical analysis of the soap that is being used in Kathmandu or in Nepal. When you go to market, you will get different types of soap. Nepali herbal soap, this soap and that soap. And some soap using the animal fat, some soap using the plant fat, that's the vegetable fats like this. So my question is that which germs are present in the atmosphere of Kathmandu? Which germs are present in Gorkha? So in different places, different germs must be present. The soap that you use in USA to wash hand may be not fit in Nepal.
I would like to just listen to the question directly to any government or any sector. But what I would like to bring some point that Nepal's sanitation movement is very, very much unique. And the government is taking always be leading role and the driving the sanitation campaign in the country. And we are the development partners, always be supporting the government's leadership and the government's strategic thought, and we are just providing that type of support to the peoples who are those are need. Actually, all the INGOs and all the NGOs we are working together, we are just putting hand together. That is basically for the facilitating and implementing and coordinating at the community level.
The priority on the disability that when we term decline, marginalization and excluded, often disability issue has been ignored. That has been the case in Nepal. So we want the disability issue to have a special focus so that during the strategic period, this is not being ignored. And secondly, on the public toilet issues, yes, there has been a number of interaction by different organizations on the disability issues, and that was discussed during the Sanitation 5 and Sanitation 6 as well. And the Sanitation resolution has a strong component to include disability issue into the public domain. So as a follow-up of the Sanitation commitment, where the INGOs are also part of the steering, what rate is in that steering committee. Collaborative Council is also a member of that steering committee. So we think that to follow up the Sanitation commitment be done with emphasis on disability. That doesn't mean that we ignore other forms of the marginalization.
Belinda, to make some sort of wrap-up, if you have made some wrap-up points, the most important highlights of the workshop, key questions arise from here in the workshop room, and including some next steps further. So I'd like to request David.
Two important things we'll look at to try to extract. Number one will be, yes, what level of agreement or prioritization was there with those 6 propositions? And my sense, although we'll confirm this when we go through the material, is that in general, people feel that these propositions are okay. There might be some level of nuancing. There certainly will be ultimately some level of contextualization in Nepal, in the Nepali world, if we put it like that. And there may be some additional propositions which have come out that we'll have to consider. So thank you for that very intensive effort over the last 2 hours to first look at, how can we as a sector and WSSCC respond to the challenges and the targets in the country, and also what the government leadership is trying to do, and then to layer on top of it the aspect of these propositions. I think that was very helpful, and there was a lot of excitement and energy in the room while it was happening, which surprised me because it was the end of the day after lunch. So we appreciate that very much.
I would like to thank you very much, Uka and other friends. And some friends could not stay, but in the morning, and so what maximum time they could spare here, and they could share their views and feedback here. I would like to thank to those, and especially our State Minister was here in the morning. I would like to thank our State Minister, our Joint Secretary, Senior Government Officer here in our very important government key, I would say the kitchen of the WAS you know, in the ministry, the kitchen people, they cook actually. They cook here. The SDP, the makers here. So with this note, I would like to conclude and end this workshop. Thank you very much once again, and I hope that in future also we'll be working together in many ways. In future we'll be meeting again and again. So I will be inviting or calling sometimes to meet some other meeting, small meeting, larger meeting, workshop. So maybe I can come to your office also individually to make some bilateral meeting or, you know, programs. So, you know, so I'm expecting your cooperation and collaboration in future also. Thank you very much.